Thank you for clicking the play button. Please kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you be the first to get notified each time we drop a new video. Let's get started. Genesis 13 unveils a powerful story of faith, choices, and divine promises. We encounter Abram, a man chosen by God, returning to the land of Canaan after a sojourn in Egypt. This chapter holds profound lessons for us today as we navigate our own journeys of faith. It reminds us that our choices have consequences, and that God's promises remain steadfast. Abram's journey takes him back to Bethel, the place where he first built an altar to God. This return symbolizes a spiritual homecoming, a return to the place where he first encountered God's presence. It's a reminder that God calls us back to himself, back to the foundation of our faith, especially after trials and detours. As we delve into Genesis 13, let's open our hearts to the timeless wisdom contained within this powerful narrative. Let's discover how Abram's story speaks to our lives today, inspiring us to live lives of faith, humility, and obedience to God's promises. Upon his return to Canaan, Abram is a man greatly blessed. His time in Egypt, though not without its challenges, resulted in increased wealth. His flocks and herds multiplied, his possessions grew, and his household expanded. Abram's prosperity was a testament to God's faithfulness to his promise of blessing. However, this abundance, while a blessing, also presented a challenge. The land could no longer support both Abram and his nephew Lot with their vast flocks. This situation set the stage for a critical decision, a choice that would shape the destinies of both men. The abundance that God bestows can sometimes lead to unexpected dilemmas. It is in these moments that we, like Abram, are called upon to exercise wisdom, humility, and faith. We are reminded that true prosperity is not just about material wealth, but about the condition of our hearts. The strain between Abram's and Lot's herdsmen created conflict, threatening the harmony of their families. The land, once ample, was now a source of contention. This situation tested the bonds of family and faith. It would have been easy for Abram, as the elder and the one who had received God's promises, to assert his authority and claim the best for himself. Yet Abram chose a different path. He chose humility over pride, peace over strife. He approached Lot, not with accusations, but with a proposal. He offered Lot the first choice of the land, demonstrating remarkable generosity and putting the well-being of his family above his own interests. Abram's actions stand as a powerful example of resolving conflict with grace and humility. They remind us that true leadership often involves putting the needs of others before our own and seeking peaceful resolutions even when we believe we are in the right. Faced with a choice, Lot's gaze fell upon the well-watered plains of the Jordan. It appeared lush and fertile, a land of abundance. Drawn by its immediate appeal, Lot chose the Jordan Valley and pitched his tents towards Sodom, a city known for its wickedness. Lot's choice, while seemingly logical, reveals a heart captivated by outward appearances rather than seeking God's guidance. He was drawn to the immediate gratification of a prosperous-looking land, overlooking the spiritual implications of aligning himself with a corrupt city. His decision would have consequences that extended far beyond the immediate future. Lot's story serves as a cautionary tale about the allure of worldly possessions and the dangers of prioritizing temporary gain over lasting spiritual value. It reminds us to seek God's guidance in our decisions, looking beyond the superficial to discern His will and purpose for our lives. With Lot's departure, God renewed his promise to Abram. He instructed Abram to lift his eyes and look in all directions. God promised him all that he could see, a vast and expansive land, a land flowing with milk and honey. This renewal of the promise signifies God's faithfulness and his desire to bless Abram abundantly. Despite Lot's choice, God's plan for Abram remained unchanged. In fact, Lot's departure paved the way for God to reaffirm his commitment to Abram in an even more profound way. This reassures us that God's promises are not contingent on the choices of others, but are rooted in his unchanging character and faithfulness. Even when others walk away from his blessings, he remains faithful to those who trust in him. Section 6. A Heart of Gratitude. Abram's response to God's renewed promise was not one of entitlement but of worship. He moved his tent to Hebron, a place of significance, and built another altar to the Lord. This act signified Abram's gratitude, humility, and unwavering faith. Abram recognized that true blessing came not from the land itself, but from his relationship with God. He understood that the land was merely a symbol of God's faithfulness and love. His response was one of deep appreciation for God's grace and provision. Abram's actions remind us that gratitude is not merely a polite response to blessings, but a transformative attitude. When we cultivate a grateful heart, we acknowledge God's hand in our lives and open ourselves to experience His presence and provision more fully. Section 7. Walking in Obedience. Throughout Genesis 13, Abram consistently demonstrates obedience to God's leading. He leaves his homeland, travels to Egypt, returns to Canaan, and resolves conflict with Lot, all in response to God's guidance. His life becomes a testament to the power of a heart surrendered to divine direction. Abram's journey was not without its challenges, but he continued to follow God's leading, trusting in His wisdom and faithfulness. His obedience, even in the face of uncertainty, brought him closer to God and paved the way for the fulfillment of God's promises. Abram's example inspires us to live lives of obedience, seeking God's guidance in all that we do. It reminds us that true fulfillment is found not in chasing our own desires, but in aligning our will with God's perfect plan. Section 8. The Echoes of Our Choices. The contrasting paths of Abram and Lot underscore the lasting impact of our choices. Abram's choice, rooted in faith and humility, led to lasting blessings and a legacy of faith. Lot's choice, driven by immediate gratification, resulted in hardship, loss, and spiritual compromise. Their stories remind us that our decisions have far-reaching consequences, not only for ourselves but also for future generations. They challenge us to make choices that reflect wisdom, faith, and a commitment to God's ways. As we navigate the complexities of life, let us remember the choices of Abram and Lot. Let us seek God's guidance and strive to make decisions that honor Him, knowing that our choices create ripples that extend far beyond the present moment. Section 9. Our Legacy of Faith. Genesis 13 leaves us with a powerful message of hope and encouragement. It reminds us that God is faithful to His promises, that He honors humility and obedience, and that He desires to bless us abundantly. Like Abram, we are called to be people of faith, people who trust in God's goodness and seek His guidance in all things. Let us embrace the lessons of Genesis 13, making choices that reflect our faith in God's promises. Let us cultivate hearts of gratitude, recognizing God's hand in our lives and responding with worship and praise. And let us leave a legacy of faith for generations to come, a legacy that points others to the one who is faithful and true. Thank you for watching this video. Please kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to get notified each time we drop a new video. Let's get started.